Hey ho people, it's Stylosa and Kirioth and it's game show. Good lord. Now today we're going to talk, about live action trailers and CGI trailers and why they send me absolutely mad. But we're going to try and not be totally biased, you know, in the sense of I do not like these, so I'm just going to hate on them. Because they do have positives as well. Also, you may notice we do not have our cameras on again. This is, as I explained in the last game show, we're waiting for lights to turn up so we can have full chroma key displays of, so we can, basically, we've got a good lighting situation, so we can then chroma key our heads out and have our heads in the bottom corner. It should look a lot smarter than it does with black boxes, because I really don't like black boxes. They get in the way. And also, a little bit of insider information. The heads are actually going to be put onto Is It Pure as well, so you can see our facial reactions as well. So you can probably tell if we're loving the game or we're not.
So, basically, if we're looking grumpy as all hell, the chances are not a fan.
Not a big fan. So, Mr. Kirioth, let me just take a sip of tea because my throat's about to be destroyed, which is not very good at the start of a clip. Or a game show. So, live action trailers. Let's start with live action trailers and why. Can you please, well, I'd like it if you could explain to me why every single goddamn game company has decided they need a live action trailer for the games. It's getting a bit ridiculous.
At first, to be honest, I kind of thought it was quite a neat idea, sort of, because it does help build excitement and it makes the game a little bit more relatable, I suppose, if you've got actual people in them. But on the other hand, because it's on every game, frankly, some games do not need a live action trailer, and a live action trailer does not work. I'm thinking specifically, like say Magicka. Magicka, live action trailers actually work kind of well because it's a stupid game. Yeah, the whole point is taking the piss. So having like takeoffs of like Reservoir Dogs and all that kind of thing, that's quite funny. Especially because it's live action. It makes it look a bit amateurish, but it's kind of comedy at the same time. However, sir, Crusader Kings 2, for instance.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at. This is only a small section of live action trailers that. I mean, you can literally go onto YouTube and find these. So you've got Skyrim live action trailer, which was just like, what? You've got the Prototype 2 action trailer. I'm sure we'll get into detail on that a bit further on. We've got the Deus Ex series of live action trailers. We've got Rome Total War 2 has got a live action trailer, which again is, you may as well just watch Spartacus if you want to see Rome. You've got Star Wars The Old Republic. Oh, actually, that's a CGI trailer, but again, we'll get onto that. You know, you've got your Crusader Kings 2 as well, which is what Kirioth was going into detail on. So what Paradox did is they had a series of Crusader Kings 2, Deadly Sins, and I'm just going to bring them up now and have a look at the views, because going off my memory, I believe that only the first one really got any views, and the rest were kind of, like it was sort of overdone, like really overdone.
I think that was part of the problem was that Crusader Kings 2 did not need that kind of trailer because it's not that kind of game. I mean, it was being touted as a serious, you know, like massive kind of, you know, it's a proper massive strategy / political game. It's a serious game. It's not a stupid game. Magicka, you blow your mate up, that's stupid. Crusader Kings 2 is all about like politics and religion and family and increasing your empire and all that kind of thing. It's not that funny. So
I know, but it's like what they're trying to do is make the game appeal to a different user base, because that game does not appeal to me. I'm not a grand strategy player. However, the first Crusader Kings 2 7 Deadly Sins they did, which has got 180,000 views on that video, that's worth it all day long as a marketing, you know, plan. That's great. You know, how many views have you got there? Copy and pasted across every single news website you've ever seen in your life, you know, to do with gaming. And it was a funny take. Okay, it wasn't massively funny, but at least it's like a different take on the, you know, they're really serious games, ain't they? It's like, this is like a light-hearted view. And that's fine. But then if I look at the other ones, so, you know, if I go forward instead of going back, that might help. So, we've got a 7 Deadly Sins, Sloth, which is obviously one of the later ones. It's only got 34,000 views on it. And it's like, well, is it really worth it for that, considering how much money they've actually paid to produce these? What they really should have done is maybe just made one. You know, instead of having 7 Deadly Sins, they still would have got 180,000 views. and they wouldn't have had to waste whatever money they've wasted making the others. Although you could argue 30,000 views on each of the other ones is still pretty good. But I mean, the whole thing with like there are some games where live action trailers, like you said, sort of do work, or in some circumstances where they do work. I think the light-hearted, stupid ones, like for Magica, and even sort of Crusader Kings to a point, for me, they sort of work, and I can see why you would maybe make one, right? Making a series of them is kind of a bit crazy, but with Magica, it's sort of like, every time an expansion comes out, let's have a live action trailer. Fair enough. They're usually fairly short anyway, so it's not like they're putting a load of effort into it. But then you look at things like Prototype 2, right, and it's like, what the hell is this? It's like, well, you love this, and I know, Mr. Kirov, you were a big fan of Johnny Cash, but now you're not.
Oh God, I can't listen to that song ever again now. I just can't. It was such Prototype. I know they tried to do the whole "oh yes, terrible loss" kind of plot, but it essentially, when you boil it down, it was a game where you could grow stuff out of your arms and tear people to pieces. That was what it was about. No one played it for the he had a wife and kid and then lost it kind of crap. That's not why you play a game like Prototype, is it? It's so you can rip people's heads off and throw them at other people. That's why you play it. So for Prototype 2 to turn up with a bloody Johnny Cash song and giving it the whole, oh look, he used to be a soldier. Look at his wife and child. They were killed. Now he's gutted. He's going off to war. It's like, no, just no. Why did you have real people trying to explain your terrible plot for your stupid game? It didn't work on any level whatsoever. It was like they looked at Gears of War, like the first Gears of War trailer, which had the emotional music, and it had the slow-mo scenes. I mean, I know that was CGI, but it was like the same principle. It was, this is a game about war and fighting, but we're going to try and make it look sort of, like deep. Prototype isn't deep. It's not even remotely deep. It's a game about stabbing people in the face with your fist that turns into a scythe. It is not deep. It never will be. So why did you do that? It's just got no relevance to anything. It's just, hey guys, I've got an idea. We need a trailer. Well, do you remember years and years ago, Gears of War did one with like hurtful music? Yeah, let's do that because that worked really well. Is that not a bit old? No, it'd be fine. It'd be great. It'll work really well.
Yeah, but the Gears of War one was actually in-game footage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Madness.
I think it was actually,
Mad World or whatever it was.
Mad World, yeah.
Very, very Mad World. You see, that was quite well done. What I'm looking at the moment is Hawken. Now, this is the latest in the long series of ridiculous live-action crap that's attached to games. So, Hawken is like an online mech warrior game. They have a live-action trailer, which actually, as I've just discovered, is in fact a web series, which is going to turn into, why is this even been made? What? I don't understand. Why? Why do they believe this will make their game, maybe sell better? I can kind of understand it's going to give them because I'm looking at it on IGN here. And is this IGN or Machinima? No, it's Machinima. 722,000 views on this video, which is like, that's a shitload of views. And for one live action clip, yeah, it's probably worth it. But it's already stated that this is going to be a series. Who the hell is going to watch this? I don't think that the first clip's going to get tons of views, but the clips coming along, maybe not. And I suppose, like, coming on to the negatives a bit with these live action trailers, I'm guessing they cost quite a bit of money to actually make. And I don't understand why they're not spending that money on the development of the game. Now, I understand they have to advertise the game, yeah? But surely, deep down, the very best advertisement for any game is a really good game. So when it goes out to get reviewed, everybody's like, this game is amazing. It's not because it had a nice live action trailer or, a CGI trailer that's made the game great. And before you jump in on this, Mr. Kirov, I want to take this on to PlanetSide 2. Now, this has a CGI trailer, Death Doesn't Matter or Death Matters, or I think it's just Death Doesn't Matter. Hang on, let me get the correct name. I don't want to sound like a goddamn idiot any more than I normally do.
Death is no excuse.
Death is no excuse, yeah? This is a really good CGI trailer, right? But it's like, what? Why? The game looks pretty good anyway. I was sold on the game before I seen some stupid trailer. Now, maybe this is my age or what, I don't know. But I'm like, I don't need this. This doesn't even need to be made. But then I look at the channel and it's got 1.5 million views. It's like, Christ, where has it got these views from? So whatever I kind of say bashing it is sort of pointless now, because it's had that many views. Surely, there's going to be a good number of people who are going to play the game based off that. So that's going to inject more money back into the game. Whether that's going to equal out the cost of the CGI thing, I don't know. I don't know how much these things cost to make. Probably will. You could say that it was worth making, because then that's going to allow them to have more income to make the game better. So these things have got they're very blurred. The positives and the negatives are like, ugh.
I think also it depends. I know it's going to sound a bit sort of like a double standard, but I suppose as well it kind of depends on the game and the audience that you're aiming for. I don't think the Crusader Kings trailers were worth it, because they're appealing to an audience who will not buy the game. Or if they do buy the game, will not enjoy the game.
But I'm sure people from Paradox would say to you, well, hang on a minute, Crusader Kings 2 has been our best-selling game.
But I still say the humour in the trailers does not attract the people that like playing grand strategy games. I mean, they just don't seem to connect. The trailer and the game are too different for me. Whereas PlanetSide 2, I was already hyped about the game, but it's a very well done trailer. So even though I already know that I want the game, it's kind of pushing me that much more towards it. Because at the start of it, it's like it prepares you for the game. It prepares you for the all-out war.
The thing is, I would have preferred to have seen different vehicles and weapons, or an actual attack on a base. I know they've done videos like this before, actual in-game. I would have preferred that better. Although, after seeing the clip, like you've just said, you think to yourself, well, that's pretty good. But that's not how the game works. There's no way you're going to be jumping between galaxy transports and shooting the pilots out. It just doesn't, that's not even possible. It's like, go away. But it's sort of, that's what you mean. It's sort of setting the mood a bit. But I don't know. I think something like PlanetSide 2, it's getting quite clear that that's going to do pretty well, unless it totally flops. But other stuff, like Prototype, which I'm sorry we keep coming back to it, but it's like the best example because the game's terrible. Like Skyrim, it was like, what was the point of the Skyrim live action trailer? Is it just for a television advert? Wasn't it? Well, are they just using it for television adverts? Is that it? But it's like, it's not showing any of the game.
I think I reckon the Skyrim was designed primarily for the TV, because that's where I first saw it. I think I first saw it in a cinema or something. I sat there and I was like, what the hell? That's an advert for Skyrim. That's live action.
Actually, EverQuest 2 had an advert in the cinemas, and I seen this, right? I remember laughing because I was playing EverQuest at the time. CGI, with the Queen and all the other clowns, firing stuff off, going, wee, and all this stuff. Anyway, that was all I wanted to say. That actually happened. That was years ago, crazed.
But I think with things like with Skyrim, it makes it look a bit like a film. So I suppose in some ways it's kind of you think what's this film? It looks good, and then it turns out to be a game. And I think maybe that might have been the whole idea. It sets you up for one thing, then it turns out to be something else. And so people who ordinarily wouldn't have been interested might have seen it on the telly and thought, I'm gonna look this up, because it didn't do that well online. It wasn't really promoted online. It was just, it was there. Have you seen the live action trailer? Yeah, it's not really anything. But on TV, it's kind of got that. It sets up an expectation, doesn't it? And then it just says, oh, by the way, this is a game.
I guess it was probably an attempt at trying to get into a different audience again, because Skyrim was always going to sell stupidly well between everybody on PCs, because they all know what Elder Scrolls is, so it was always going to sell. So I guess it was like an attempt at trying to plug into a different market.
Mm.
The other way of doing this is, now the Deus Ex Human Revolution live action is actually fairly decent, and so is the CGI, maybe not so much, but the live action isn't that bad, because what it does is quite clever. It's sort of if anybody's seen the what's the new Aliens film?
Prometheus.
Yeah, there was the bit with the android that was like a viral video, where he's they're explaining the android and he's showing off. That was quite well. Well, the Deus Ex ones are sort of like that, quite well done, in a sense of they sort of add to the story. They're trying to build the story up. So you're watching these, and it's selling you the idea of this future where bio implants are becoming the norm. There's this gap starting to appear between people who are heavily augmented and people who are not. They're considered poor. They can't afford the expensive treatment. It's becoming elitist and all this. I think they did it with the Serif Industries like adverts, like almost that were live action trailers, and that was quite well done. That sort of added to the game. It wasn't just like a pointless trailer like the prototype one, which is just like, what the hell is this, you know? Or even, well, I suppose you could argue in a way the Hawken one might add to the game, but to me, I just found it stupid. I was like, what is this? Why has this game got a live action trailer? Why have they wasted money on live action crap?
I think the Hawken ones suffer from the fact that Hawken essentially is... I don't want to anger the Hawken fans, but it's another mech warrior. I mean, it's slightly different. It's called Hawken, not Mech Warrior, but, you know, that's the influence. And for all the plot you can try and inject into two armies of giant robots fighting each other, the fact is at the end of the day, you're playing it largely because it's two armies of giant robots fighting each other. It's like you don't need anything else. I mean, you can try and inject the whole kind of, oh yeah, well, he's fighting for his country, or he's fighting for his family, whatever, but what it comes down to is you're going to play that because you want to be behind the wheel of a massive robot.
Well, the question is, are you going to play that or be playing Mech Warrior Online? And how long will it take before Mech Warrior Online come out with a goddamn live action trailer? Oh! And all,
I pissed myself they used the same actors as the Hawken one.
Yeah, and all the same assets and everything. The Assassin's Creed, oh god, that. I was at the cinema watching Batman and that comes on the screen, the live action trailer for that, with like the Americans, they're not going to be killed by these British rapists who were breaking into their house. It's like, me, as an English person watching that, I'm just like, this is terrible. I mean, I know that's probably what happened, but it was like, you're trying to sell me a game by telling me my race are a bunch of, like, murderers and pillagers, and I'm like, I'm not buying this. I wasn't going to buy it anyway, but I'm just thinking, what the hell? And I got kind of worried, because I thought, any of the younger people in this audience are watching this thinking it's entirely acceptable to, go and kill English people. I know they're not, the British people are not like the enemy as such, are they, in the Assassin's Creed games, but they're going to be murdered by him, ain't they? I mean, come on. But he murders them in the proper trailers, mad. But the things like that, they just, I really love it if somebody could explain to me why they really, deep down, bother with all this live action crap. And CGI is the same. I mean, I'm looking at the, Secret World, okay, you've got a CGI trailer, where one of the characters is smoking a fag in a bar and he goes into the toilet, and while he's having a piss, demons and stuff all go off around him, and he zips up his fly and then presumably murders them as it cuts to the end. It's like, well, what exactly has that showed you with the game? It showed you crazy demons. It's all CGI, so none of it's relevant in-game graphics at all. So basically it was kind of pointless. It was like, well, what the hell was that? Then you've got, the Old Republic cinematic trailers these are from E3 2010. With hilariously 9.5 million views on the one on IGN. That was actually a fairly good CGI trailer. Like, you know, it was enjoyable to watch, but really what did it do? It was just an excuse to stick loads of Star Wars sound effects and lightsabers onto a CGI clip, and it's like, well, was that really worth making? I don't know. It's EA, so I guess I've got the money to do it. I guess it kind of annoys me when the smaller companies start doing it, because, you know, they're not spending that money on game development, they're spending it on advertisement, which, that's fine, you need to sell your game, but if you're, I mean, I'd love for somebody to show me figures of how much this actually costs to make. Okay, maybe not Paradox, because I can't imagine the magical ones cost much to make. You've just got a robe on, and they're just like shouting at each other. You know, but the Hawken one, what the hell? That's like loads of seats, like a film. What?
I think the thing for me is I'll accept it's a good trailer if I feel it adds something to the game. Like if I sort of see the trailer and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, or yeah, I can see why that would affect the game, then that's fine. But stuff that's just like a blatant excuse of, hey, look what we can do with however many millions of dollars and a few months on a computer. It's just like, no. I mean, to be honest, I didn't particularly like the Old Republic cinematic, because it was just it's just like 5 minutes of laser noises and lightsabers, and that's it. Doesn't tell you anything about the game, because the game plays nothing like it. It's just got nothing to do with anything. It's just, hey guys, look, Star Wars. Look guys, Star Wars. Yeah, we know it's Star Wars. Can we see something that's actually relevant, please? No, all you get is just guys running at people and shooting other people, and that's it. And that's the whole thing. That's not anything. It doesn't build the game up. It doesn't show how it plays. If anything, it's just an excuse to show how much, you know, computing power you've got. It's not it doesn't help it. It doesn't make it any better, which is the problem I've got with a lot of trailers. Prototype 2 trailer is crap because it doesn't make the game better. It doesn't make anything better. It just does nothing. The Planet Side 2 one, I suppose it's technically impressive, which is why I kind of like it, but it's still not really, it doesn't add much. It just adds anticipation.
Well, talking about adding stuff, okay. I think the only time I realistically want to see CGI, to be honest, is when it's used as a story element in the game. Now, obviously, the most recent example of this is Diablo 3, where you don't see these cinematics. And then when you're playing the game, they really add to the game. It's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, Blizzard are renowned for the cinematics anyway, but you're watching it and you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. But it's part of the story, it's part of it. It's not some crap that's been released before to go, oh, look at this. They've spent God knows how much on. It is part of the game. It's like a storytelling tool. It's not just a bit of crap that's attached for no reason. And I think I've landed on something good here. If the live action trailers or the CGI trailers are used as a storytelling mechanism, tool, whatever you want to call it, then that's fine by me. Even if it's pre-release, so, they're trying to build up the game world, the story, that's fine. But when it's just attached for no absolute reason whatsoever, other than, oh, holy shit, they've got a CGI trailer, or they've got a live action trailer, we need one now, then why? I mean, do you remember the Dragon Age one? What the hell was that?
The Dragon Age one was stupid. Oh, God, it's just... I don't know, it's frustrating because I think you're right in that it just feels like, could you not have spent this money on the game? Could you not have done it? Why spend loads of money on building up anticipation, building up people's hopes for stuff, and then they play the game and find that it's actually really not as good as it was made out to be? I mean, if the Old Republic was anything like the ridiculous trailer they released for it, where it was all sort of incredible force powers and being able to pull off all kinds of crazy moves, then their game might have been better. But it wasn't. It was nothing like that. It was just a technical display followed by a disappointing game. And I suppose the same can be said for live action stuff as well. If it's not going to add anything, don't do it. If it's just to build anticipation, don't spend loads of money on it and don't make it 5 minutes long. I mean, what are you going to get into 5 minutes?
May as well turn it into a bloody film. Go and work for DreamWorks, whatever the hell they're called. Pixar, yes. I work for Disney Pixar because I've got this experience making all these pointless game trailers.
I think it's getting to the point as well where that because no one really says, and I've not heard many people say, excuse me, can you show me the game, not show me the trailer? People are starting to not actually look at the game as well, which is the other problem I've got. They see the trailer and they think that must be good. Now, in the case of Prototype 2, it kind of worked because they saw the trailer and thought that's fucking stupid and didn't buy the game because the trailer was stupid. But with other games, it's like people are starting to say, oh, have you seen the trailer for this? It looks awesome. It would. It's the trailer. It's not anything. It's nothing to do with the game. I mean, the trailer could be full of bloody naked women and $100 bills and a guy go around shooting people in the head, and the game could be fucking Chess Master. If you're judging the game by the trailer, then you're doing it wrong, because you should be trying the game, not trying the thing that is selling you the game.
That's one of the cheap ways they do it, though, isn't it? That's why they do it as well. It's like, look, let's have a CGI or a live action trailer because our game doesn't look that good. Console games are terrible for this because they know the game doesn't look that good, visually.
Although, I have to admit, I'm going to have to bring this up because it made me laugh so much over the weekend. Went to Dark Knight Rises, and there was a game trailer. There was two, actually. There was the Assassin's Creed one, which was not very good, although I still want it because it's Assassin's Creed. And there was another one, sir. And it ended with the tagline, "The future is black." So you can probably guess what that was. But they did not use a cinematic or live-action trailer.
No, but they've got in it. They've got like a facial recreation of that black guy, that black actor.
Yeah, I can't remember
his name, but I was like, what?
But the problem is, they're one of the few. I think that's one of the few games that needs a live action or CGI trailer. Because let me tell you something: the Modern Warfare engine, when blown up to cinema screen size, looks bloody awful. It looked terrible. I was sat there and I was thinking, this is in-game footage. and it looks shit. It looks like it's from 2004. What the hell is this?
You would have thought, out of everybody, they would have had like a complete, like, loads of Modern Warfare web series and everything. I mean, I know they've got the noob one, ain't they? Remember with the guy from what's he from? Jake Sully. Jake Sully. What's that film? Avatar. Him. It's got him in it, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, look at these noobs and all this crap. It's like, well, okay, I guess they did it there. But dear oh dearie me. So I think, bloke, let's wrap this up. CGI trailers, this is for me, then I'll give you your chance. And live action trailers for me, I don't particularly have a problem with them if they add to the game. So if they try and develop the story or something like that in a meaningful way, right? And the game is a game which can kind of accommodate it. So like Deus Ex, things like that. However, games like Skyrim, you could say, well, they could accommodate a live action series, but the trailer was pointless. It didn't really, it was nothing. It wasn't very long. It was just basically pointless. The live action trailer was. My issue I have with the live action trailers are when they're just attached to things for the sake of it. Like the prototype one, it is by far the worst one because it was like, what is this? Like you said, you're a guy who goes around killing people. You don't want some soppy music on, or as if you're feeling sorry about it and all this. It was just totally pointless. Like it doesn't add anything really. And CGI stuff, using the PlanetSide one as an example, that looked pretty nice, and it sort of is what you would have expected. Given PlanetSide's just all out warfare. It wasn't something totally crazy off at a tangent. But that's like that. Okay, that's great. But stuff which adds to the story, like the Diablo cinematics from Diablo, 1, 2, and 3, they're in the game. They add to the game as you're playing it, and that's I'm cool with that because that's part of the game. But when they try and like use the live action or the CGI to promote the game, when deep down I'm thinking, why aren't you spending this money on the game itself? That kind of annoys me.
I think I'd agree with that. I think if it adds to the story, if it adds to the game, like the Deus Ex ones, like the Sarif Industry ones, those were good because they provided backstory, they provided a bit of meat on the bone of the game. Stuff like Prototype 2 is unnecessary. Just having a 5-minute technical exercise of look what we can do with fancy graphics, it might hype it a little bit, but in situations like that, I think it's better to just show the game because the game is what is going to be judged in the end, not the live action trailer or the CGI trailer. So if it adds something to it, if it's something that makes a difference to the game, great. If it's there for just pure hype for no reason other than let's see if we can do a stupid trailer, I'm not a fan. I don't see the point. I think the money could be better spent elsewhere, and you're in danger of doing more harm than good. Again, going back to Prototype 2, that did more harm than good, that trailer, because it was a terrible trailer and it did not do the game any favours. So it's got to add something. It's got to be there for a reason, not just because we felt like it.
So I'll tell you what, guys, why don't you comment below with CGI trailers you like, or, live action trailers that are actually good, or even argue against us or support us. That's what game show's all about. So today the topic has been basically why are CGI trailers and live action trailers becoming effectively the norm, especially live action trailers are just becoming it's like, what game will have a live action trailer next? We just don't know. It could be anything. I mean, I would never have bet any money on Hawken having a live action trailer, but it's got a web series. Good Lord. Well, there we go, people. We're out of here. We've been Stylosa and Kirioff. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click on all the links in the description. Follow me on Twitter at UnitLostGame and follow Kirioff, which is at Kirioff. And no doubt we'll catch you next time. Toodaloo.